Share Inspire podcast. This is episode 787. I'm Kristin Omdahl, and we're here live in Southwest Florida in my beautiful tropical backyard. If you are joining me live, please say hello. If you have questions, please share them. And if you would like to tell me or everyone else, and everyone else here, what you've been working on, I know we all love to hear what everybody else is working on, whether you've been working on a new recipe or learning a new technique in the kitchen or in your craft room, knitting, crochet, sewing, jewelry making, whatever. We all like to hear about it. Hi, Shelly and Christine. Good morning, Grace and Thea. Good morning. Happy Monday, everybody. Hope everybody had a nice weekend. Hi, Judy. Good morning. I worked all weekend, but I worked on fun stuff. I worked on the back end of my website. Hi, Naomi and Kathy. I'll have some news to share about what I've been working on the website later in the week. Hi, Lily and Joe and Judy, and I've been working on spring patterns. Lots of good stuff coming for spring. Hi, Jaleha, maybe. Hi, Rita. Good morning. Yep. So I worked on a new cardigan. Oh, I worked on the cardigan version of a Margot, which is turning out so pretty. I also am working on a Tunisian cardigan. I'm also working on okay, so both of those are in Be So Baby. I'm working on a circle vest in Be So Fine gradient yarn, and I have a couple more designs. I'm thinking there's going to be about five, I'm hoping to have 5 or 6 designs come out in March for spring. So fingers crossed on that, but I would like to, and I'll ask you, what would you like to see come out in spring? So far I have a circle vest, just kind of like a cardi vest, and I have 2 cardigans that I'm working on. I would like to work on another vest, maybe a shrug as well, maybe a pullover or a dress. What would you guys like? Maybe a shawl too. What would you guys like to see come out for spring? And in what yarns? So far I've got 2 items coming in Be So Baby, 1 item coming in Be So Fine gradient. I would like to do something in bling, whether we do fine or sporty. I'm kind of leaning towards fine bling for something, maybe a shrug or a shawl. Grace, all the above. Yeah, I know, I agree. The more the better. We just want new stuff. Um, will the orchid one be like the Will the circle one be like the orchid shell? No, it's not going to look like that one. I do believe I showed a preview. Got hair in my mouth, sorry. I do believe I showed a preview of it a couple weeks ago. I don't know what you mean by like the orchid shell. Will it be circular? Yes. Will it have armholes? Yes. But it will be a completely different stitch pattern design than the orchid shell, I believe you mean, from Crochet So Fine book. But great question. Hi, Narjis. Good morning. Keep the questions coming. A long light cardi, Kat says. That is actually what the Margot version, the Margot cardigan is turning out to be. I did make it longer with long sleeves and with side vents. So it comes down to maybe high to mid thigh with side vents. It is absolutely gorgeous. I do think the couple things I need left to do on it before I can start the actual design and sizing process. I need to put an edging on the side vents, and I think I want to make a belt for it as well. Not that you would necessarily always need the belt, but I think it would be a nice additional feature for styling options. I'm going to make it nice and thin so you could weave it through the waistband if you wanted to. You could weave it just in like where you would put belt loops on the sides, and if it's nice and thin, it would also double or triple then as a corset tie in the front if you wanted to close it up as well. So I'm going to use foundation ovals. I'm going to do like a chain 4 treble crochet, and then after I make the oval, then slip stitch into the oval to then start the next one. We've done this before, and by doing that, it'll be nice and light but have some structure to it, which will make a fabulous belt. Let's see, I see a few people have gotten their books. That's wonderful. Thea's book's scheduled to come on Wednesday. That's great. Hi, Nora. Good morning. Yeah, so lots of pretty things coming, lots of stuff that I'm working on behind the scenes. I'm excited to share it all with you when it comes out. In the meantime, we have more tutorial videos coming for the 24 Crochet Hat book. As I'm seeing quite a few people, as I've heard and seen, quite a few people have been getting their books and are happy with it. I've even seen a couple of hats made already. This is so exciting. I'm so happy to see that there are people enjoying the new book and the new hats. So you might be wondering why I'm wearing one today. This is the Flora hat, and that's the hat that will debut as a live video premiere later today. In fact, it'll be 30 minutes after the show. Oh gosh, you know, it's so funny. Sometimes I can see a comment and whatever's in my mind just goes. I saw someone say summer dress, and I was like, what? Summer dress? So somebody is saying that they would like to see a summer dress. Yeah, me too. I want to make a dress too. I really really want to explore construction style within the Delta stitch, which is what we did in the Desiree hat, this Delta stitch. I would really like to really try to manipulate the construction of these Delta stitches to make a stitch pattern grow within the deltas. So this is the double treble length of a Delta stitch, and I'd really like to explore a construction style where we start with a double crochet or a half double crochet version at the yoke and then grow it for the size of the yoke. I really think this will be interesting, and then that could either be a top, a pullover, or a dress, and then it could also be a cardigan and a vest. I just don't know where I'm going to go with it. So I have to, but I definitely do want to do something in the Delta stitch for spring, summer. So like a dress, a skirt, a pullover, or a cardigan, somewhere in that range. I just haven't, and still figuring out yarn. I think I want to do it in Be So Fine Bling, but I've got quite a few things going right now. So maybe as I finish up one of these other designs, I'll start on it. The Delta stitch is one of my favorites too, Linda. Okay, so anyway, back to the hat. So this hat, I did a 3-part video tutorial on it because there's quite a bit to talk about in this construction. Please explain what an ebook is about. An ebook is the digital version of the paperback book. So if you can get a paperback version of any of my books, or if you would rather have a digital copy of the book as a PDF file to put on your tablet or your computer or your phone, that's what an ebook is. An ebook is, E stands for electronic, so it's an electronic or digital copy of all of the content inside a physical paperback book. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, please ask more questions about it. Thank you, Judy, for sharing links. She showed a link to the 24 crochet hat. I think she posted a link to the ebook and the physical book. Okay, so as we're going, yes, Nora, the first time I saw Delta stitch was when Jessica Simpson wore it on her reality show many, many years ago. In fact, that was right around the time that I got involved in the crafting industry. I remember Jennifer Hansen had done a shawl pattern in the Delta stitch that was inspired by the Jessica Simpson shawl, and she was selling her digital patterns on digital or print, I'm not sure, on eBay at the time, and that's how I first met Jennifer Hansen. The Stitch, what was she called? Not Stitch Studio. Oh my gosh, somebody help me. What was Jennifer Hansen's company called? Stitch Diva, maybe? Stitch Diva Studios? Is that right? I can't believe it's not coming to me right away. Anyway, yes, I think doing a shawl like that, I think doing an homage to that whole Delta stitch shawl, Stitch Diva, thank you, I did get it right, good. I think doing an homage to that particular shawl shape would be gorgeous. Fernanda has a Delta stitch in it, yes, Christine, it does. It has one Delta stitch flower panel in the, individually in a stripe, it does. I believe on the right and left side, maybe in the middle too. I don't recall off the top of my head. I need to wear that. Naomi, what size hook do I use if I crochet with 2 strands of sporty bling? It depends on what kind of a gauge and what kind of a tightness of fabric you're looking for. If I were going to start somewhere with doubling sporty bling. It would depend on what I'm trying to make and how thick or loose or opaque or lacy I wanted the design to be, but maybe you would start in the 6mm, 6.5mm range. I don't know what it is you're trying to do with it though, so I think knowing what you were trying to make might help. If you're trying to make something like a solid fabric, like the body of a skirt, I'd probably go into the 5.5 or 6mm size, or consider Tunisian to make it solid. If you're looking to do something loose and airy, maybe start at 6.5mm. For a hat, so you want it to be a solid fabric, maybe, Naomi, I maybe start at 6mm, but again, everybody's gauge is different, but I would definitely go higher than you normally would when you crocheted with it singularly. Which hat, Naomi, since you're doing it, since you're doubling it, you're trying to replicate a worsted weight? Are you trying to replicate, I'm curious. Tell me which hat, and maybe Jill's here in Naples right now. Lucky you, lucky Jill. It is warm here. It is much warmer than the rest of the country. I'm going to wait a second and see what Naomi's question is. Yeah, now keep in mind, Naomi, this hat pattern book is with sizes, so depending on what your gauge ends up being will determine your final hook size. But to get started, you're looking for something in the worsted range, so I would definitely, when sporty is doubled, it becomes more of a worsted weight. I think starting at 6mm is a good place to start, but again, depending on what kind of a gauge you're looking for and the stitch pattern and your own personal tension, it may end up being somewhere a little bigger or a little smaller than that, but I would say that that would be a good place to start. Okay, so I said I was going to go back to this hat. This is the hat that I'm premiering videos for today, every day during the week. We're skipping weekends because of live premieres and all that good stuff. Monday through Friday for 24 days, 24 weekdays after the book was released, I'm premiering new videos for each project in the book. So the videos are meant to be supplemental video tutorials to help guide you along in the pattern in whatever aspect I think was important to have a guide. So for this particular pattern, the Flora Hat, which is one of the hats in 24 Crochet Hats, we do a couple of interesting things. First of all, it's going to be a hat with seamless crochet motifs where you don't cut yarn between motifs, which if you haven't done that technique before will be mind-blowing and exciting and totally different than any other type of motif construction you've done before. But I also really experimented with a different way of sizing a project. So in this particular hat, it comes in 4 sizes, and the sizes are based on your gauge of each individual motif. And so how we created that was by using different hook sizes. So this is the very same motif as in the hat, but each one was done with a different size crochet hook, and the pattern will explain that to you, that if your motif ends up being this big with the smallest size hook, that ends up being the baby size, whatever those numbers are, it's all written out in the book. And so just like we were talking with Naomi about what size hook to use for doing any type of yarn substitution, that also applies when you're changing your gauge for making different sizes within a project. I believe we did this in one of the vests in Layers Crochet also. We talked about the fact that changing your gauge with different size crochet hooks created different sizes of the finished motifs after blocking, and therefore gave you a different size in the vest. Well, we're applying that technique also for this hat. So whether you use, I think it was a 6mm, 5mm, 4mm, and 3mm hook, but that was based on my personal tension. So depending on how you crochet, what your personal tension is, and whether or not you use the same yarn, and then after blocking, you'll decide whether or not you got the same size motif with the same size hook that I did to get the same size gauge after blocking. And if you didn't, it's okay. We all have our own different personal tension. You may end up having to do your your swatch more than once to get the right gauge for whichever size hat you're making. Let me look it up, give you an example here. Looking for Flora. I alphabetize the names of the patterns in a book, and it always helps me to be able to find something, and I hope that you enjoy that as well. I love keeping everything alphabetical rather than making, you know, there's a couple of options when doing a book layout, and some of my older books were done by chapter where there's technique styles in different chapters or different types of projects, where I found that it's so much easier to just keep things alphabetical. Anyway, that's me. So this is the Flora hat, the one that I'm wearing right now. This is, so the different sizes are 14-inch circumference, 17.5, 21, and 24.5-inch circumference. I am wearing the one that is 21-inch circumference. Okay, so here is the gauge then. One motif should equal 2 inches, 2.5, 3 inches, or 3.5 inches across after blocking to make hats size 14, 17.5, 21, and 24. So here's the chart for the hat, okay? So you're making the same number of motifs regardless of which size you're making. It is the size of the motifs that is determining the different sizes of hats. Pretty cool, right? So I think that that's very interesting. So in the videos, I believe in the first video, I show you how to actually make these motifs, how to make one, and then even talk about how to figure out, like, if it doesn't turn out the right size, what do you do? So we go over that in the first video, or maybe the first or second, and then I remember by the third, and I maybe read the chart in the second video, and then in the third video I show you how you take, let me show you on the chart again because it's really cool. In the third video, you're going to see the fabric look like this, just be laid out flat. And in that third video, I am literally going to show you how you join everything together to go from this flat fabric into the three-dimensional hat. So it's really exciting, very fun. If you've never seen this style of construction before, it's a little bit mind-blowing, but in a fun way. And if that hat even seems a little too advanced for you, that's okay too. Let me pull out the chart one more time because I want to suggest something. If you want to explore this technique but feel overwhelmed by making the hat, don't worry. Why don't you just make a fabric with the square motifs? Forget about joining them at the top. Just make a scarf or a cowl. That would be a super, super easy way to get some practice with the motifs. Make a coaster, make a, what do you call it, placemat. Make some sort of scarf or cowl. Make something just two-dimensional with the square motifs. And that will get you a lot of practice in this technique. And keep in mind, even if you don't need the extra practice, you can use this chart and this stitch pattern for those other types of projects as well. If you skip the last part of the shaping with the triangular motifs to create the crown, if you just do the two-dimensional shape with the squares, this could be a rectangular shawl, this could be a scarf, this could be a cowl, this could be an afghan. Like, you could do any kind of two-dimensional fabric. Wouldn't it be a beautiful afghan for a little baby? It would be beautiful as a throw on any bed, for that matter. Be a beautiful throw on a couch as well. If you went with the colors of your home decor, I think it'd be gorgeous for so many different things. And like I said, great practice. The more you practice a technique, the better you get at it, and the more it builds your confidence as well. So there will be 3 videos premiered this morning. What time is it now? In 40 minutes from right now. So regardless of what time zone you're in, and different than mine, I could say 10 a.m., but it may not mean anything to you if we're in different time zones. So 40 minutes from right now is when the first video will live premiere, which means I will be in the live chat. So if you have questions, you can ask me there. And we'll be premiering each of them 15 minutes apart. Each of the videos is under 15 minutes, so I was able to schedule them back to back really quickly like that. I can't remember if there is a left-hand video or not. Like, a couple of the videos are a little more discussion based about the chart and things. So for those videos, I didn't think it was necessary to do left-hand instruction, but if there's any crocheting at all in them, those videos, whether it's 1, 2, 3, or any combination of those 3 parts. I will be uploading the left-hand versions later in the day. Thea is one who practices and swatches, and she feels like the learning is invaluable. It absolutely is. The more you practice anything, not only do you get better at it, get better at it, but it builds your confidence as well. And confidence is a key component in learning anything new. Absolutely, because you don't gain confidence until you gain experience, right? All right, does anybody have any other questions? Yes, Naomi. Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. She says, I love doing that, practicing my patterns by making something I'm used to making. Yes, right. So, and we've talked about this in other aspects before as well. When you're learning something new, try to narrow it down to only one new variable and keep everything else constant. I know that goes into a little science-based terminology, but I can't help it. When you're doing an experiment in science, you always want to try to only have one variable that's new so that you can test it against all the other constants. Well, that also applies to learning something new. If you're learning a new weight of yarn, a new texture of yarn, a new technique, and a new construction style, that can get really overwhelming unless you like that kind of pressure. Some people like the added pressure, but a lot of people don't. So let's say, for example, let's say you're not used to let's use this hat as an example. Let's say you're not used to working with DK weight yarn. You're used to working with worsted weight yarn and chunky yarn. You might want to practice the techniques in a yarn weight that you're comfortable with first before using the new yarn weight, because if you're going from something thicker to something thinner, or something thinner to something thicker than what you're used to, it often ends up being a whole other variable to learn, a different way to hold your yarn and a different way to tension your yarn. So anytime you're trying to learn something new, try to focus on only one variable to learn at a time. So whether it's staying within your wheelhouse of yarn weight to practice your stitches, maybe practice the stitch pattern in a 2-dimensional form before going 3-dimensional. If you don't understand what that means, I'll explain that as well. 2-dimensional is when something lies flat, like a blanket or a scarf. 3-dimensional is when something's a hat. This is 3-dimensional, right? It goes all the way around. It has a top, a side, well, it's not quite square, so it doesn't work for a box, but you get what I mean. It's a 3-dimensional shape, which is a little more complicated than doing something flat like a scarf. So there's nothing wrong with practicing your stitches. Or for example, on any of these hats that have crown shaping, don't do the crown shaping the first time around. Make it a cowl first. There's nothing wrong with breaking things down into different steps first and learning each item separately and then combining it all together. That's okay. Thea says she used to be in a big hurry to get going on projects, and now she takes her time to learn things. I think you mean more slowly. That's great. I think that everybody learns differently too, right? Everybody learns differently. So whether you like to dive right into the deep end and learn a bunch of things at once, that's okay. Usually people that are that assertive in their learning are usually much more patient with having mistakes, right? And if you are someone that gets very impatient with yourself when you make mistakes, that is when you may want to consider dialing yourself back a little bit and learning less techniques at one time, focusing on one or minimal variables within your learning experience. Angela, I do not, when you see videos of me right hand and left hand crocheting, it is not because I actually made the videos twice. In my video editing, I flip the screen so that you can see it in left hand. So they are actually identical videos. But I do know how to crochet left-handed. I did have to learn that at one point. I feel like I didn't have to. It was suggested that I do that. At a show, somebody said that it was important to know both in order to teach better, which it's not coming to me. I feel like it was like up in Vermont or New Hampshire or something. So anyway, but over the years, I realized that video editing was a very powerful tool in order to be able to show right hand and left hand very well. Because while I can crochet left-handed, I'm so much more proficient right-handed. So to be able to use really nice fluid motions, showing my work reversed is actually a better teaching tool in my opinion. Yeah, I hear that a lot of people are having rough weather right now. I am sorry to hear that. I came out here because I thought the birds were going to be so loud this morning. Have you heard any birds at all? The birds have been so loud here over the weekend. I don't know if it's mating season or they're fighting or what, but we've had so many different kinds of birds and they've been incredibly loud. I've noticed we've heard construction this morning and I hear one kind of bird, but I don't hear a bunch. Are you hearing birds this morning? That was the whole reason why I came out. Oh, good. You are hearing lots of birds. Okay. Sabrina, she was looking at the new site and didn't see my free patterns. Yeah, that's a question I've been getting quite a bit over the last week. I am still working on getting everything in the right places, right? There's only so much that could, I mean, when you go from one type of a website to another, not everything transfers identically. So it's been a lot of hours trying to get everything back going. And the free patterns did not transfer the way that I expected them to. And the free patterns were never in the pattern shop. So just to explain to you, the free patterns were always pages or blog posts on the blog. So if you go to the blog section on my website and you click on free pattern, all of them will come up. Now, some of you might be familiar with a page I used to have on my website where I broke it down by category so that you could see crochet patterns separate from knit, or you could see only hat patterns or only shawl patterns. And I have to go back in and manually do that to all 300 patterns and find all of them within 760 blog posts. So you can imagine that it is an enormous job for me to reorganize and recategorize everything to make it easy to find again. Now, have the patterns gone away? No, not at all. They're still there. There's like 287 free patterns, I think, something like that. And you can still browse all of them if you go to my blog and search by category, which is going to be a very powerful tool when I'm done with this, but I'm having to recategorize everything. I spent an enormous amount of hours working on that over the weekend. And yes, there have been people that have been disappointed and even so much as making false accusations that they've disappeared or that I've gotten rid of them. Absolutely not true. They're still there. They are not as easy to see as they were before, but I promise that I am getting them back up and running as soon as possible. Yes, the blog is on the website, Sabrina. If you go to kristinomdahl.com, it is very apparent where the blog is. There's a large button with a photo in the middle of the homepage, and it's also in the in one of the menu bars at the top as well. There we go. Judy just shared a link to the blog. Thank you, Judy. I appreciate it. Yeah, so as soon as I finish that particular job, it'll be much easier to filter them again, but it's taking me some time to go in and manually do it to all of them. So yeah, they're still there. You can still find all of them, and it will get easier to find them when I finish this particular job. It will be so much easier to find them than it even was before when I'm done. Thank you, Judy. That's true. I'm actually going to make it, I think it's going to be better than it was on the old site when I'm done. It's going to take several hundred hours to get it where it needs to be. And I'm more than 50% there, so that's good. And then I go on to the next job to work on behind the scenes, in addition to everything else. But it's okay. I'm very excited that as I do all of these other labor-intensive jobs, that things are going to get that much more exciting and that much better and more fun for you when I'm done. Thank you. Yes. Yes, so one of the benefits of having a customer account on my website is that when you purchase digital patterns, meaning the PDF patterns, so the free patterns are just viewable on the page, but what's improved on the new website and different than other free pattern websites is there are no more ads. There are no more ads on the free pages, which I'm really excited about for a couple of reasons. Number one, I know that it was not always pleasurable to have to scroll through them, but also it is better for privacy. It's better for everybody's privacy to not have ads on a page, because we all know that Google shows you things that it knows that you looked at elsewhere. So I feel like it's just a better privacy situation to not have ads and cookies and things like that. I think it's called cookies when that's what the ads do. Anyway, I felt like stripping all of that out was the best way to keep everybody private when you're on my website. So there won't be any ad suggestions coming up. I like that. And like I said, you can view the free patterns ad-free, which is special. I don't think you can do that anywhere else. And then if you purchase the digital patterns, which my patterns start at $1.99, plus they're 75% off this month, so you can start the extra benefit of the new website, which is that there is a download library section for all of the patterns that you purchase. Now, you have to have a customer account. Like I said, this is a benefit to a customer account. So once you create your account and you're logged in at time of purchase, anytime you purchase digital products, whether it's $1.99 patterns or ebooks, they not only do you get an email with the download link, but you also get them in your library, so you have access to them in the back end side of the website, which is so exciting. That was one of the most exciting features, in my opinion, of the new website, because it is such an added value and super added value and benefit for customer accounts. And so I know that everybody's excited to build up their download library. So for the month of February, I decided to give a coupon code so that you can download any digital crochet or knit patterns and any ebooks at 75% off. The coupon code is in a blog, in the welcome blog post. It's in social media. You can see it anywhere. So the blog post is, or the coupon code is out there, and it'll give you 75% off. It excludes the brand new book, obviously, because it wasn't something from the old website, and all the single patterns from the new book. But I'm telling you, there are hundreds of knitting and crochet patterns and ebooks that you can apply the 75% discount to. And other than the exclusions of the charity book and the brand new book in patterns, everything else is included, and there are no limits. You could literally order everything in the shop that's digital minus the exclusions and get 75% off. It's huge. It's a huge discount, and you will not only get the patterns, but you'll get them in your download library as well. Nora, I love it. Quick and easy access to my saved digital patterns instead of searching an email. Yes, exactly. So it's a benefit from day one, but what about 6 months from now when you're like, oh, did I buy that pattern? Did I not? Do I need to go look through my email to find the link? Nope. I just need to log into my account and look through my whole library. It's so convenient and so wonderful. And for those of you that like to print out separate from home, like some people don't have printers at home, but they like to print out. Christine, I already answered that. You can use it as many times as you like for as many patterns as you like for the entire month of February, minus the couple of products that are excluded. Where was I though? Okay, so for people that don't have printers at home and like to go to other locations like the library or what have you to print your patterns, this feature is especially convenient for that, because you can log into your account on someone else's computer to use a different printer. I know that that's something that we've been asked about many times over the years, and that is something that the download library, that is another issue that the download library fixes as well. That's okay. That's okay, Christine. I'm happy to answer questions. No problem. Happy to answer questions during the show or after. I'm glad you asked, because if you asked, then somebody else probably had the same question as well. Yes, unlimited use of the 75% off coupon for the entire month. So enjoy it. Fill up your library. It's so fun. And I'm just so excited to have this feature, and I'm so excited that you guys are excited to have it. Oh gosh, it's awesome. Anyway, that's a nice high note to end the show on. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy day to spend a few minutes here with me. I hope you enjoyed the birds, the scenery, the show and tell, chatting with me and everyone else here. If you would like to watch the live premiere of the 3-part video series for the Flora Hat, I will be starting it in about 25 minutes. And the 3 parts will live premiere starting at 10 a.m. and then 10:15 and 10:30 right here on my YouTube channel in about 25 minutes. So I hope you can join me there. And if you can't, that's okay, because once we're done with the live premiere, then they become just recorded videos. So you'll find them on the pattern pages embedded on my website, or you'll find them in the 24 Crochet Hats playlist right here on my YouTube channel, where I'm keeping all of the videos for all of the patterns from the brand new book. If you have questions, please let me know. I'm happy to help. So maybe I'll see you over there in a few minutes. And if not, I'll see you for the podcast tomorrow. Same time, same place. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every day. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.